everyone, welcome to the Ginger Snaps here. I'll be discussing horror movies with you guys in a very blunt way. I'm your host, Steven Harrold, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my review for The Exorcist, which was released on December 26, 1973, 50 years ago today, and was directed by the late William Friedkin. Back in 1973, no film like this was ever made. Of course, we all know this was off the novel from William Peter Blatty, and we all know that this movie basically is hailed as the scariest movie ever made. Now, it's 2023, it's been 50 years, and can we still say that it is still the scariest movie ever made? Well, that's what I'm going to be talking to you guys about. So, let's get into the review for The Exorcist. For the story of The Exorcist, it's very bare basic. We have a family who has, riches. They're basically actors. And their daughter, Regan, is playing around with a Ouija board, and essentially she is possessed by a demon, Pazuzu. And eventually we have to come to terms with the fact that she is living in a home with a very atheist mother who doesn't believe that she is possessed by the devil whatsoever. She takes her to so many doctors, she takes her to so many shrinks, psychiatrists, therapists. Nothing seems to work until a priest basically tells her she needs to be exorcised. So that is where we end up meeting the exorcist himself, and then we can see exactly if he can save Regan from this demon. Now, for the story of this movie, of course, it's a story that hasn't really been done before, of course. Like, this is basically the very first film that deals with exorcism, and with the story that we are given from the novel and in the book, of course, it is very, very similar. Of course, some scenes were not shown, obviously, and they were fixed later on. But when it comes to the story of The Exorcist, it is so concrete, it is so captivating to actually watch this movie. I know some people will say at times it gets slow, but this is not a movie that has anything to do with cheap jump scares. This movie has those scares, and they live up to them, very much so. And with a story like The Exorcist that we are given, it's a solid story. When it comes to the characters of this movie, of course, we have Mrs. McNeil, and she does a fine job as a character of a mother who is an atheist, who is trying to figure out what the hell is going on with her daughter, taking her to all these doctors, taking her to all these shrinks, everything, and nothing seems to fucking work until a priest finally tells her, go see an exorcist. Like, your daughter needs to be exorcised. She doesn't believe it at first, but then there are things that happen that are just unexplainable. So she has no choice but to, and the actress plays the role very fucking well because of the fact of a parent. What do you do in a scenario, and how do you react in a scenario where your child is not what they used to be anymore? And how do you convey that as an actor? And she does a very fine job with that. The other character that also just steals the show in this whole entire movie is Regan, played by Linda Blair. This is the movie that put her on the map in the horror genre. This is the film that everyone remembers her for, of course. I know she was in The Exorcist 2, and she's done many films after that, but we all know her as Regan from The Exorcist. And to be a 11, 12-year-old girl playing it in a movie like this, with scenes that just haven't been seen since, and seem to be, very out there. Like, this is one of those movies that's elevated. This is elevated horror. No, not Jordan Peele movies. Those are not fucking elevated horror. This is. And for Linda Blair to be in a role like this is very demanding, because she even says it in the bonus features where you could never have casted a Catholic girl for this role, because it just would never have fucking happened. And she is so good in this fucking movie that you buy into the innocence that she is playing until she is finally possessed, and then she turns on us, and then she is this demonic person who is not in control of her fucking surroundings. She's not in control of her body anymore. A demon is, or the devil himself. And she plays it so well. Max von Sydow, of course, playing the priest, the exorcist himself, does a fine job. And a lot of people, even like to me, when I first watched this movie, I didn't actually expect Max von Sydow to actually be a lot younger than how he actually looks in the movie. Because, you know, makeup prosthetics, right? He does it very well. You barely get to have him in the whole entire movie, but even his presence alone just knocks it out of the park, especially for a very specific scene, which I will be getting to later on into this video. Now, of course, we have the other priest who does a fine job in this movie. Like, you basically you're following his character besides the McNeil family. And he is going through his own troubles in life. You know, he's an alcoholic. He's losing his faith. His mother passes away. And then this girl is dropped on him to basically see if she needs an exorcist. And he finally gives in and says, yeah, she does. And that performance from him is amazing, especially right at the end of the movie. And every single character, when it comes to this movie, from the McNeils to the exorcist to the priest, all do an amazing job. This movie does not have a lot of gore because it didn't fucking need it. This was back in 1973. Remember, there was not much for gore at this time, especially for a movie like this. There was a big budget and they didn't need the gore, but what they got instead was a lot of scares and a lot of things that happen in the movie that you just don't see today. I mean, we see the crab walk down the stairs. We see the masturbation of the crucifix, and that still has not been done today. We've seen the head turn, which was an amazing effect. And then, of course, we also have the exorcism scene where you see the vomit, you see the head turn again, the room basically being cooled down to temperatures where the actors, you could see their fucking breath. Everything about this movie, when it comes to its effects, its minimal gore and effective jump scares, makes this movie unbelievable to be fake in a way. And yes, we do have to touch upon the fact that we did have 2 injuries in the movie when it comes to certain effects, of course. We all know that. It's been documented very well. It's a shame that had to happen, but some of the actors, you know, they pushed through, even though they had severe consequences later on in their careers, which sucks. But other than that, when it comes to this movie's special effects, its makeup effects, its ambition to go where you should be able to go. Of course, the movie's score, of course, the main theme that we get is very ominous with this film. I know it's a piece of music that a lot of people have associated with certain plays, but ever since this movie came out, it's been recognized as the Exorcist theme. It just has been recognized. And even going further, with the reputation of being called the scariest movie ever made, yes, it was very much believable that this movie was the scariest film ever made back in 1973. So much so that, you know, in the early 2000s, that's when I finally got the chance to actually watch it. This movie, I remember, you know, hearing things about it, and I was too scared to even watch it. And finally watching it in my adult age, I was like, you know what? Like, okay, scary, I wouldn't really say that much, but, you know, putting it yourself in the perspective of the characters in the movie, yeah, it is fucking terrifying. But scariest movie ever made, I don't think it holds that title anymore, even though it's something else. Of course, this movie is basically well known for its ending scene, the exorcism scene, where, you know, we see, you know, everything transpire that the film was leading up to. I mean, like the poster itself that is famous with this fucking film, the exorcism scene, and we see everything happen. We see the manipulation that the demon in Reagan is trying to bestow onto the priest and the exorcist. We see all the shit that has gone on, you know, the power Christ compels you scene, the vomiting scene, everything just full tilt with this film in that one scene. And of course, we see the ultimate sacrifice with the priest, and it's a very effective scene. And when you finally see that Reagan is back to her normal self. She's no longer possessed anymore. It's so damn gratifying and so damn relieving that she did not lose her life after this. And to have that happy ending of sorts, it's so great to have, especially after a scene like that. The Exorcist, being 50 years old, has stood the test of time for well over 50 years, and there's no argument as to that, because we've seen countless sequels, countless imitators, countless films that have come out to try to replicate The Exorcist itself and have failed miserably. Yes, I am also looking at you, Exorcist believer. I had high hopes for you, but God, was I disappointed. The Exorcist is a film that just simply cannot be replicated. It cannot be touched again, and definitely never be fucking remade, because we all know this film could never be fucking remade. It's too damn perfect. And what William Friedkin had done, and what everyone involved had done, this film is hailed as a classic. It's one of the most important horror films of all time, for a good reason, and being 50 years old, does it still hold up today? It certainly does. So guys, for my rating, I'm going to give William Friedkin's The Exorcist a 9 out of 10. And that has been my review for The Exorcist. What did you guys think of the film itself? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and also subscribe for more content. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so you get notified about all the other videos coming up on this channel, especially in the new year. Anyways, guys, that's it from me. This has been the Ginger Snaps here. My name is Steven Harrold. I will talk to you guys later. Stay spooky.